Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Administrator Nelson, for being here. I want to commend you all for thinking fiscally responsibly and partnering with the Canadians. At the outset of my comments, I hadn't thought about it, but when you're headed to the concert and you only got a limited number of seats in your car, you may make room for the guy who's going to pay gas money to hitch a ride. So we're glad that you're partnering. I don't know. Can you tell me exactly how much gas money are the Canadians providing?
They are providing the arm known as the Canadian arm that will go on the mini space station that will go in lunar orbit. And they provided the arm on the space shuttle, enormously successful. They have the arm on the International Space Station, enormously important and successful. And they're going to provide this arm on the lunar outpost called Gateway.
Good. I want to circle back to when you were talking about nuclear thermal propulsion. The budget funds $15.8 million for nuclear thermal propulsion research, but NASA recently announced a partnership with DARPA, known as DRACO, to research nuclear thermal propulsion that's expected to cost NASA roughly $90 million. How does NASA intend to fund its part of this DARPA agreement without a request for the full amount for DRACO?
That's where we're going in and we're sharing cost with other, in this case, agencies that have an interest in doing that. DARPA for its own reasons, us for our reasons. And we're looking forward in the future to doing something on nuclear electric propulsion as well with some other agency so that we share the cost. This program going back to the moon and then to Mars is not like the program that went to the moon 50 years ago. Then it was the U.S. government, totally. This time we go with international partners which share the cost, as well as our commercial partners that share the cost. And this research that you mentioned is an example of that.
Good. You talked about China, and you noted that NASA and China have coordinated over issues such as the orbits of Mars spacecraft, but added that there's a lack of needed transparency on the Chinese side. Can you tell us about what you mean there? And when you mentioned the possibility of cooperating further with China is up to China, is that such a wise waiting game to play?
Well, first of all, we have a law that says that we can't cooperate. As a matter of fact, it's named after a former member of this committee, this subcommittee as well.
Actually, we overlap in territory in Northern Virginia.
There you go, Frank Wolf.
Language.
Yep, I served with him in the House, as did the chairman. So that's number one. There's a law, but that law can be suspended by the direction of the administrator. We did that on one occasion where we needed to deconflict the orbit on Mars because they've got a Mars orbiter. And as I mentioned, they've got a Mars rover. I think it's gone to sleep, but they had successfully landed a Mars rover. But we've had no success in getting them to be open and transparent. They are very secretive. And so they've put up 3 elements of their space station. And each time they did not reserve fuel for control of their booster rocket coming back in. And each time when we asked them to give us the coordinates, the trajectory, they refused to share that. 3 times, not once. The second time, by the way, we thought it might go down in Greece. Then we thought it might go down in Saudi Arabia. Fortunately, it went down in the Indian Ocean. So I can go into more detail. I actually ran into the Chinese ambassador about a year ago in a Sunday brunch. He said, "What can we do?" I said, "Well, I'll give you an example. You just returned a sample from the moon. We did lots of samples half a century ago. We made it available to the international community. You could do that as well."
Well, I'd say
That was a year ago.
we didn't cooperate with the Soviet Union back in the 60s during the space race. I don't think it'd be wise to cooperate with the Chinese now. I yield back. Thank you.